Okay, first of all, sorry again for the lack of uploads. I had to leave on a trip right after getting my Wi-Fi fixed, but I hope to get back on a consistent upload schedule again. So as you can see, this is my first black and white UU match. This is a really fun tier, especially if you're like me and you're not really a big fan of weather, so you want to stay away from OU for a while. He's going to lead off with Kingdra against my Heracross, and I am running a Scarf set, so I'll be able to outspeed, but I can't KO it, so I'm going to switch out. He actually sets up a Rain Dance though, and I'm really going to have no choice but to stay in and attack. Could have been really bad if he went for a Life Orb Hydro Pump, but instead he actually goes for a Dragon Dance, not expecting the power of Escavalier. And I'm actually running a Choice Band set, so that's going to be able to one-hit KO with Mega Horn. It could have been a lot worse for me if he was running one of those special attacking sets, but it turned out pretty well. Just to put things into perspective, Escavalier is actually stronger than Scizor, so with a Choice Band set it manages to hit pretty hard. I'm going to switch into Donphan on the initial switch against his Cobalion, and Cobalion is pretty threatening, so Donphan is the closest thing I have to a counter, and even then I can kind of be taken out if I'm weakened a little bit and he has like a Swords Dance boost or something, but instead he's just going to go for a close combat, and I'm going to go for an Earthquake this turn just to break the sub. I do want to set up Stealth Rock if possible, but I'm not really going to be able to do that right away because I want to at least break his sub so he doesn't have any more opportunities to set up. But he actually goes for a second sub as I go for Stealth Rock, and this is going to be a pretty safe option because I managed to survive that first close combat pretty well, meaning that I can definitely take another hit or two. And he's actually going to set up a second sub here and go for a Swords Dance behind the safety of the sub. And I'm just going to stay in and keep using Earthquake. Like I said, Donphan is pretty much the only thing that I can switch directly into a Cobalion. I do have Scarf Heracross to function as a secondary check if I needed to, but whatever I do, I can't let him get up a substitute because then I definitely won't be able to check it. So I probably will have to sack Donphan, but it's definitely going to be worth it to take down Cobalion. He goes for an Iron Head and flinches me, and that's pretty bad because I definitely would have been able to hit him with that Earthquake, which would have done a lot. Maybe KO'd, I'm not really sure exactly though, depending on which spread he's running. So I'm going to go for Earthquake again, and he's just going to keep setting up subs in case I decide to switch out. But I'm definitely not going to because I definitely won't be able to deal with this thing if it gets a sub up. So I probably will have to sacrifice Donphan actually, but it's definitely going to be worth it if I can actually take down his Cobalion. So he goes for a close combat again this time, and it actually is strong enough to take out Donphan since I've been weakened a bit. Anyway, that Iron Head flinch was pretty unfortunate. It's only a 30% chance, but he managed to pull it off anyway. So I'm going to be forced to just close combat here because there's really nothing else I can do to deal with Cobalion. But I guess he predicts the Scarf because otherwise he would have outsped me, and he goes into his Scolipede, and it's going to be taking a pretty good amount of damage even though he's resistant because he switched into Stealth Rock, so 25% right there just for switching in. I'm going to go to Escavalier because I'm pretty much just using this as an initial switch. It's fairly bulky, and it manages to hit him pretty well. I also thought it would probably resist most of his attacks that he would use. He goes for the Earthquake, but it doesn't really do too much damage at all. I'm actually going to go for an Iron Head here because in case he decides to go back to his Cobalion, it's going to be the one move that still manages to break his subs and still have perfect accuracy. So basically I don't want him to get up any more subs, which is why I'm going to keep using Iron Head. I think since I'm running just about maximum HP, I should be able to survive a close combat as well, because this Cobalion only has leftovers, not life orbs, so that's going to make it considerably weaker, so it won't do too much damage to me. And he actually does go for a second close combat after the defense drop. That is going to be enough for Iron Head to KO him, which is pretty good, because Cobalion is a very threatening Pokemon, as I've mentioned, so I'm pretty glad I managed to get rid of it. So he's going to go into his Arcanine, and whenever you're at really low health, like lower red, I usually decide to stay in unless I really need something to switch in as Death Fodder later, because in case he decides to pull a prediction like he did there with close combat, it could have been really bad for me if I decided to go to Kingdra directly or something, so really not worth the risk in most cases. So he's going to go for a close combat, and I just went for a Waterfall here in case he decided to stay in. He's only has a Meganium for his water resist, but I was thinking if he switched to that, I could probably set up on it pretty safely anyway. So I probably could have survived an extreme speed after this as well, but I'm a little bit paranoid of crits whenever I play on Wi-Fi, so that's pretty much the reason that I didn't want to just set up a Dragon Dance there. Anyway, he's going to send in his Scolipede and KO me with a Mega Horn, and I'm assuming this thing is going to be banded because otherwise I don't think it's going to be able to do that much damage, because Scolipede doesn't have that high of an attack stat, but it does have a really high speed stat, 112, so just to put things into perspective, it actually does outspeed Thundurus by 1 base speed point. I'm going to go for Heracross Close Combat, but I probably get a low damage roll because it just misses out on the KO barely, and he manages to KO me with Mega Horn after the defense drop. So I'm going to switch in Froslass because I don't really have any more resistances to Bug, and I am running a bulky Froslass instead of the standard Focus Sash lead, so I am going to be able to survive that and take him out with Ice Beam. He's going to go into his Meganium, and I decided to taunt first turn because Meganium typically likes to set up screens, and that's going to make things a little bit annoying to deal with. His last Pokemon is Marowak, which can actually be extremely threatening if it is supported properly, because really high attack stat due to the Choice Band equivalent of Thick Club. And I'm just going to go for an Ice Beam here because it's going to do a pretty decent amount to Meganium. I did manage to shut him down from sending up Leech Seed as well, so he's not going to be able to do very much damage to me at all. And I do go for that Ice Beam. It's going to do a pretty good amount, but not really KO because Meganium has a really high special defense stat. It's actually pretty bulky, so I'm just going to want to switch out here. And I probably should have switched to Roserade earlier, but I thought Ice Beam might do more than it actually did. So that's why I didn't really switch out earlier. I'm going to go to Roserade right now, though, because it's going to manage to deal with both of his remaining Pokemon pretty well. I switched directly into the Energy Ball, and I'm actually running a offensive Roserade, not really the standard bulky Spike setup set. So this one has a Leaf Storm, Sludge Bomb, and Sleep Powder with a Timid and Max Special Attack investment. You gotta remember that Roserade has a 128 base special attack, so that's actually the equivalent of Thundurus. It's extremely hard-hitting. Leaf Storm is also like a grass-type equivalent of Draco Meteor as well, so it's going to do a lot of damage. He's going to switch into his Marowak on the Sludge Bomb because I guess I wall his set since he only has Energy Ball as his attacking move, but I am going to go for the Leaf Storm. Pretty glad I didn't miss, although 90% is pretty reliable, so that is going to take out his Marowak, and since he has nothing else to hit Roserade with, that does mean that I'm going to be able to KO him with a couple of Sludge Bombs. After the -2 special defense drop, I'm not going to be able to one-hit KO him with Sludge Bomb, but it is going to be a definite 2-hit KO, so I'm just going to finish him off right now. And that is going to wrap up this UU match pretty narrowly with a 2-0. Alright, thanks for watching, guys.